Right, this is Tiny Titans, Secret Files and Origins from 1999. This is a preview and a primer for the Tiny Titans series that launched that year. And it features stories and character profiles and things of that ilk. I actually really like the Secret Files and Origins books. They are where Who is Who ended up. They are an evolution of Andy books. Well, they have moved from odd data to supplements. The main story in this shows the recruitment of some of the new members of the team, and this cover is a callback to Tiny Titans issue 1, the Mark Wolfenstein and Jorge Pereira one. One of many covers that DC are happy to endlessly recreate rather than develop new imagery. So this here is our team. Each receive a profile in this. And over here, the title page, the art comes from the final issue of Justice League vs. Tiny Titans, a miniseries that came just before this one, and you are likely to hear about several more times in this video. And after this, here is our contents page with credits for the creators. Our main story is admin through and through, but I really like it. Basically, we just have the Tiny Titans going out and recruiting several characters to join the team. Let's info dump some shit here. I really like Justice League vs. Tiny Titans. I reviewed it ages ago and probably cannot watch those videos, but it is a 3-issue miniseries that is... I know I do say this in those videos. It is exactly what people are convinced Avengers Forever or some Kurt Busey rubbish is. It is a love letter to a comic. It's absolutely a love letter to the Tiny Titans team and their history. All of it. There's no agenda, no retconning, no dismissing any of their comics. It all counts, and it's all treated with equal respect. This run continues on from that, and I have avoided it for so long because I am afraid it won't live up to that miniseries. What I have read though, and know lots about, and love, and it frustrates me a lot, is the next run on the title by Jason Faerber, or rather, the first issues up until the book was sabotaged. Jason Faerber was poised to write an amazing run, but the editor of the title was changed, and the new one hated the team and the characters, and so this potentially brilliant run was destroyed in favour of the editor trying to replace the characters people love with super babies. I had to mention that all because here is one of the characters Jason Faerber was going to bring onto the team full time, Flamewing, the original Batgirl. Now, Jason Faerber is credited for a lot in this comic. He does float around the Tiny Titans before taking over with issue 21. So there is a lot of nice setups and payoffs with, well, things that would have been a nice payoff, like Flamewing eventually joining the team. It never happened though. We got the super babies instead. Much like with Justice League versus Tiny Titans, this again demonstrates a willingness to engage with and appreciate comics that a lesser, fake fanboy writer would dismiss. One of the new recruits to the team is Argos. Argos is a character that came from the 1996 Tiny Titans series, a book that was not very successful sales-wise. I've not read it. I have some issues, but I've not read it. I know one of my subscribers likes it and has wanted me to review it for ages, and I still haven't. Argos is the standout character from that team. They were all new characters, led by Adam. And Argos is the standout in part because, yeah, she is in this run too, but also she is the only one of those teenagers that John Jeffries doesn't violently kill over the years. This is saving Argos from that same fate, surely, giving her a second chance, making the case that just because a character was introduced and featured in a less than successful iteration of the team, it doesn't mean that they should be invalidated. During all of this, we have subplot pages with Shrek Boy and Sideburns. They are two supporting characters, and I need to explain why Sideburns looks like Goldfinger has had his way with them. At the end of Justice League vs Tiny Titans, Sideburns was transformed, he was reborn I suppose, as this golden man. The actual reason is DC have long had a death wish of trying to make everything from Tragic Kingdom become canon. This rubbish Sideburns redesign was one of Alec Rose's many lifeless redesigns for his miserable future story. That is why Sideburns now looks unrecognisable, because Alec Rose is terrible at character design. I have more to say about him, but one thing I love is how we handle these recruitment scenes. It is an inspired writing choice. Rather than send the member with a connection to the character, they send someone else. In this case, we are recruiting Flask Girl. And here is a criticism, actually. Her and Flamewing look too similar. They use the same colours. It gets even worse when they redesign Flamewing, because she really starts looking just like this. But yeah, you would think they would have Flask recruit Flask Girl, but instead we have Nightbird, Dick Grayskull. And what this does is that it immediately creates another relationship between the new character and the old characters. Like, now we have Flask Girl. She has defined relationships with both Flask and now Nightbird, instead of just if Flask came calling for her. Very good. Here is Joker's daughter. She is a very minor character that has somehow happened to be in almost every Tiny Titans comic I have read or looked at. If you don't know, this goofy, silly joke character from the Bronze Age, she was made edgy and wears the Joker's cut-off face in the New 52. Then we have Pratt's son, the character I like a lot, but cannot quite say why beyond the rather fickle and shallow explanation that he looks a bit like me. Another criticism here, actually. I don't think it's established well that he has been hunted by the army. At first I thought he was fighting a villain, and that the army had shown up, but no, he's just been pursued by the army. But he is saved by Acroman Jr., who has come to bring him back onto the Tiny Titans. Much like Argos, Prattson was once on the Tiny Titans in a run that not many people like, although it has a pretty solid lineup. It's refreshing to see a writer approach a superhero team with the same basic attitude I have, which is that all the best superhero teams, new members aren't really needed at all. There are great ones already, and there are ones that maybe didn't get their big moment. I really liked this scene too. It forges a bond between Prattson and Acroman Jr. And we also find out that Red Arrow flirted his way into a government building and deleted all the files pertaining to Prattson and his destruction of Atlanta. It's all a very good story. I like it a lot. I love Team Admin. I love character moments. I love that we are seeing these scenes that otherwise wouldn't be flashy enough to include in the first issue of a series. We also have Donatello and Star Fox here, and we follow that up with a Supergirl cameo. It's a really nice cameo. Red Arrow basically says that there is a spot on the team if she ever wants it. She, like Prattson, was in that final stretch of the original series. The best thing is Red Arrow's daughter, who is cute as a button. I am sure the DC Comics company would never let anything violent and horrible happen to such a young, innocent character. We end this first story with Sideburns' buns. Look at them. I was enamoured with them. Not for gay reasons. I was surprised to see such a blatant bit of unobscured, naked male arse in a comic. It's beautiful. Shrek Boy has decided he wants some time away from the team. He wants to go off and work out stuff about himself and try and cultivate a life away from the Tiny Titans. He will be a supporting character, but he was meant to come back as a full-time member in Jason Faberge's aborted run. That is it for the main story. Now, on to the rest of this. We have a newspaper interview conducted with the Flask, the Willie West version. Should have said that already. And this is great. I love stuff like this because in the late 90s and later, things like this are usually where we get the most intensive look at the characters and their thoughts and feelings. In this case, we focus a lot on how the Flask is pulling double duty on the Justice League and Tiny Titans. And he spells out in his interview why the two teams are different to him. And he talks a bit about how he feels about his teammates. I will also say this is the sort of thing I can see myself writing. Not a comic, not a handbook. I love shit like this. You can get the strongest sense of character and personality from things like this. A character talking about something. We have another story, a very short one. This is by Mark Wolfenstein. It is Donatello telling Red Arrow's daughter a bedtime story, which is the first time some of the Tiny Titans teamed up before they were calling themselves the Tiny Titans. There was a story where Robert, Kid Flask, and Acroman Jr. teamed up. This is fine. Maybe a bit short, but I don't know what more you could do without just reprinting the original story. Now we are onto the profiles, and these are not the sort of profiles we are used to seeing on this channel. First up, a lot of these profiles are written by Jason Faerber. And time for another criticism. They are all written from the perspective of sideburns. And there is no clue presented anywhere who we are actually reading until we get to Sideburns' profile and it opens with, "Oh hello, it's only me." These feature nice pin-up pieces showing the character and showing a lot more of their history in the background than I was remembering. The art is usually by someone associated with that character. For example, this is the artist of Red Arrow's miniseries, who also did an issue of Tiny Titans that I have looked at, and also No Man in the 90s. Acroman Jr. remains the core Tiny Titans member I know the least about, and he has Gregory Landsman art here. The Flask, Willie West. Not all of these, the Secret Files and Origins books. Some have more typical third-person profiles. Sideburns' commentary is unique to this one. We have, I like this in concept, Donatello's photo album. It's not executed that well, and part of that is that it's only 2 pages. But I would hope that she would have more photos than this, considering how long she has been a Tiny Titan. You would think she would include a photo of her wedding in her photo album, for example. Star Fox. We didn't see much of her in that lead story, but she is a main member of the team in the run that follows. Straight from the Hard Handy books, we have Elliot Brown with the layout of Tiny Titans HQ. Sideburns. I preferred the idea he was human again. He still is. He is capable of transforming this body into a regular human body. But that was like a happy resolution for his character. I feel this, the Tragic Kingdom body, it muddies up what should be a victory for the character. He is finally free of his robot body, and he can be human again. They've given him this lame fallback though, so he doesn't just retire forever. Okay, 2 profiles here, and they are the ones I want to talk about. Prattson's profile. This is written by, and the art is by, the creative team of Prattson's original series. This is almost 5 years after its cancellation. It's so respectful to reach out to those creators who, as far as I know, didn't do much else for DC or comics. It's a gesture that carries so much of the love that is the exact opposite of something like Avengers Forever, with its unabashed hatred for the stories of other writers. Argos too. Her profile and art is by Stan Jurgensen, who was the man behind the series that introduced her. And I don't know, maybe it is too ippy and too hopeful, but I think letting these people still have a say or keeping them in the loop, letting them continue some involvement with their creations, that to me is what comics should always have been doing. In fact, we have another 2-page story here, an Argos one by Stan Jurgensen. This shows when she was a tiny little child and she was inspired to eventually become a superhero and a tiny titan. Then we have another story. This one is some more admin. The original Tiny Titan series ended with issue 130, and at the end the team was still together. So this is showing us how that team, or what remained of it, eventually called it quits and went their separate ways. It's not exactly flattering to that version of the team, but I don't know how you can excitingly break a team up in 5 pages with it being flattering. They were all trying too hard to make the team work. They were trying to force it, but they eventually moved on. That is the main thing. And then we have our last batch of profiles. Flask Girl. And here is the supporting cast, with the most unusual inclusion being Deadstroke, who at that point had entered the category of occasional ally rather than enemy number 1. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's Raging 15-year-old, my hilarious comedy character. I think all of the Titans are gay. Well, everyone loves Deathstroke, cause Deathstroke isn't woke. Deathstroke is the cool, badass soldier who fixes the heart blind. He said that about Ashley in Resident Evil 4, who I'm pretty sure is like 10 years old. I didn't realise this character was only introduced in this series. I don't know anything about him, but it has one of those names that feels significant. I have heard of them before. HIV-E, they are like AIM. They were the bad guys who first hired Deadstroke to go after the Tiny Titans. Then we have a team of villains, and you will all be upset that it is not a circus of crime. We have a Tiny Titans timeline, which is incredibly useful to a continuity that is consistently rebooted and changed. And then a new character called Goth, a movie actor who never comes out of their monster costume. I think I preferred your character when he was called Smurf Devil. I honestly do think this is great, and I have avoided mentioning the main writer throughout all of this because I don't like the channel lore that I have attached to them. I should probably go and get all the Secret Files and Origins ones, but then I'll remember there's like 20 Batman ones, and I bet they all have fucking profiles for Joker. I do have some others. Maybe if you all ask enough, I'll look at them. I have the Justice Society of Superheroes one that came out the same year as this. Thank you for watching, and now I bid you a 7 thumbs up.